So, and what are you doing for the month of August, just in case people don't know?
I am roaming America.
Wow, that sounds like you're doing it in a van. He's just a British man in a van with a MacBook.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were at WWDC together, you were on this MacBook trying to edit something. I don't even remember what.
I was there. Yeah, I remember this.
Federico was there, and so Federico can back me up. You were quite frustrated at the speed of which your MacBook was doing the task command.
Yeah, I was
quite upset. And I think you've got a couple weeks, a week before you leave on your month-long trip to America, assuming America's still here in a week. And I think you have the wrong computer. And I think there's time to fix it. And I have even picked you out a new one.
It's a Dell Experian.
That's right. You did want the RGB keyboard, right?
Yeah.
So you got the gaming lights.
I would love that right now, actually.
You also have to. It's like stickers that are always there. You have to learn Adobe Premiere now. Good luck. So I think I really like the MacBook. My wife has the very first generation one. I enjoy using hers, even though it's really slow compared to the new ones are actually much better than the previous ones. I like the portability, the screen is gorgeous, I like the low travel keyboard. The MacBook is a great computer. I just think it's the wrong computer for you. I think you're going to end up really frustrated on this trip trying to edit on this thing and trying to bounce audio. God forbid you do any video while you're gone, and I'm sure you're going to want to do some video while you're gone, right, at this trip?
Yeah, I have to do video.
Yeah, you got to do it with Cortex, you've got vlog. I think that I think that it's time to, I'm not saying sell the MacBook, maybe there's someone in your family who could use it, maybe a demon needs a new computer, maybe a brother or your loving mother, maybe someone else needs a laptop, but I think you need the MacBook Pro, and I think in particular, I think that you should probably do the 2-port, what Marco's called the MacBook Pro Escape, so no touch bar, the regular keys. And I say this for very specific reasons. So I'm going to put the link in the chat room so everyone listening can follow along with me. Both of these machines start at $12.99 now. You probably shouldn't get the $12.99 one, you should probably spec it up a little bit, but you're not spending much more money than you did before. It is just a little bit bigger, still has a Retina display, obviously has a better screen. The battery life, and this is why I picked the Escape, the battery life is basically the same as the MacBook you have now. Apple says 10 hours of wireless web work. They say 12 hours of iTunes movie playback on the MacBook and 10 hours on the MacBook Pro. I think that basically comes out in the wash. I think as hard as you're pushing it with Logic and Final Cut and everything, you're going to get basically the same battery life. And it only weighs a pound more, which is, I know a big thing when you bought that MacBook was weight. And you said, I'm going to quote you.
Whoa, just that thing real quick, right? A pound more means twice the weight, right? Like I think that needs to be just mentioned at this point.
No, it's not twice the weight.
Is it not?
The MacBook weighs 2.03 pounds.
Okay.
And the MacBook Pro weighs 302. So it is a third more.
Okay.
Right? That's how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Half more. It doesn't double it. And I understand why you did it. And I think the MacBook totally wins, and you said this on Upgrade yesterday, which is why I put this in the document for today, that you can put it in your backpack and you can forget that it's there because it's so small, which I totally understand, and that is the trade-off for a machine that you're not going to pull your eyeballs out waiting for it to export something.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing, right? That logic still stands, I think, for me. But I do agree that logic stands way better when I'm usually bringing a MacBook on this trip, which is emergencies. Right, like I will bring a MacBook when I know I'm going to be recording, like just in case your computer's broken or Jason's computer isn't going to work, right? Like I bring it for emergencies. There is one other thing though, which is like I don't want to buy a computer now. I don't.
Well, yeah, I can't. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you say you can't help me with that, but you have the checkbook for our company, so maybe. Considering you are trying to twist my arm so badly, maybe you can help me with that.
Well,
we can talk about
Relay
that
didn't buy that. Relay didn't buy that MacBook.
No, I know. I bought it, right? But that means I don't want to buy a MacBook Pro because I bought a MacBook.
Yeah. No, I get it. And I don't really expect you to run out and spend $1,400.
So why are we doing this right now?
I'm going to berate you on the air. Because no one else had this conversation with you.
Right, because everybody knows. It's like, well, I just bought 2 iPads, right? I don't want to buy a laptop. Like, I don't want to do that.
multi-iPad lifestyle, multi-MacBook lifestyle. You have your MacBook for when you're not editing, and when you put it back in your backpack, and you pull the MacBook Pro when you're editing. You're best of both worlds. Now, granted, now you're carrying 5.05 pounds of laptop, but that's fine. One of each, Mike. Problem solved.
This was not a helpful conversation.
But I got to berate you on the air, so I feel better now.
Do you want to talk about how many laptops you bought because of the bad decisions that you make?
Oh no, I'm not. Oh, wow, this is a pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah.
But I sold the other one. Kyle the Gray, who's in the chat room, is probably listening on my old MacBook Pro.
Poor Kyle.
Tell that hello for me, Kyle. So anyways, I'm very curious to hear how the MacBook fares on this trip.
Well, it's going to be a disaster, isn't it now? Like, we all
It
know
really
this.
is. Because I look at the MacBook. So my setup, I have just like you, I have a 27-inch iMac, like 2015. It's super nice. It's on my desk. I really genuinely love this Mac, and I have a 13-inch MacBook Pro that I use for the same reason you use your MacBook, right? We travel and we do shows on the road, and we have to edit and do all this content creation at conferences, and even on vacation we're recording podcasts. And for me, I found that the iMac plus 13-inch MacBook Pro a really nice thing. But I look at my wife's MacBook, and I always think, I really like this computer, and I wish I could do my work on it, but I don't feel like that I can. So I am very curious, because you have the new one, the newest one, how it fares. So anyways, I just want to talk through it a little bit with you, because I think it's really interesting that such a attractive laptop in so many reasons, like there's a big trade-off there with the performance, and I find those trade-offs interesting.
It makes sense though, right? Like, the work I'm doing would be class professional work, and there is a line of computer which has professional in the name, and that's what they're for, and this isn't for that, right? Like, it is built for something else, right? Like, it is the iPad of the Mac line, right? Like, it is meant to be used for different things. Thanks.
What if Pro doesn't stand for professional? What if it's the MacBook Promise? Like,
That's a pretty good product name, actually. MacBook Promise.
I'm just saying, we're making up nicknames for computers anyway. This is my take. It's the MacBook Promise.
It promises that you will have a bad time. So anyways,
Yes.
I do hope it meets your needs, Mike, but I do fully expect you to edit on my iMac when you're in Memphis for a week.
Well, yeah, because why would I not do that? Like, it's like, no, I'm good. Why would I not do that? If I could take an iMac with me, I would take the iMac with me, right? Like,
you can. You see those pictures on Reddit of the dude in Starbucks with an iMac?
I'll send you the bill for my baggage allowance.
No. Federico, what's going on in iOS Beta 4?
There's a bunch of fixes that I'm really happy to see that Apple is actually listening to feedback from users and improving on stuff that we didn't like. The primary change is in Notification Center, should I say the cover sheet, that is going back to the previous behavior of you're not forced to use 3D touch or long press on a notification anymore to open it and then dismiss it. If you want to, you can swipe to the left to reveal two options, one for clear and the second for view. View means expand the notification line. If you keep swiping all the way to the left, it doesn't show in the UI, but you can actually trigger the clear option. Similarly, if you swipe from the left to the right, you're gonna have an open option. And if you keep swiping all the way to the right side, the app of the notification, where it comes from, it's gonna open. Also, Apple has changed the behavior of when you tap a notification from the lock screen. So if the device is unlocked and you tap on a notification banner, you get this full screen message that says you should unlock with Touch ID if you want to open, say, Twitter. So now it's clear, you don't have to look into the status bar and see the padlock changing from locked to unlocked. Now you get this full screen UI that says unlock to open. So this is much better than before, because some people really cannot use 3D touch, and it's not just the ergonomics of 3D touch. It's more about the fact that it doesn't make sense to open a notification if I already know I don't want to open the notification. So if I look at a message and right from the subject I can tell, well, I want to dismiss this. Why should I be forced to look at it, to open it, to dismiss? And also, when you open a notification, when you expand it, there's an implicit cost of rendering a view control and loading assets, loading content from that app, and it doesn't make sense to make sure that people have to open, have to view, and then then dismiss. So this old behavior, like I've seen some people on Twitter say, "Oh, look, it's just nerds that cannot get used to stuff changing." Like it's not that. It's literally like a worse solution. And you can still expand with 3D touch and swipe down if you want to, but it doesn't make sense to force people to do it that way because there's a consequence of making 3D touch and notification expansion the only way. So this is nice. I still would like to see more, and we're probably not gonna get what I want. It would be nice, especially now that there's the concept of drag and drop. I'm just gonna say, it would be nice to tap and hold the notification on the lock screen, pick it up, tap more notifications, and dismiss the ones you want all at once. The same way that you can pick up multiple photos in iOS 11 and drop them somewhere. I would like to, it would be, I think, a nice compromise between the grouping by app that Mike wants and these other designs. So you pick up the notifications you don't want and you drop them in the trash or somewhere to dismiss them.
I would like that, like hold into that,
Yeah.
go away from me forever. So I have a question, right? But
Okay.
this is something that I don't understand, and I'm wondering if you have any ideas about this. Why are there two ways for me to open a notification now? I can either tap it or swipe and tap it.
Yeah.
That doesn't.
Yeah.
That seems weird to me in a way that I can't fully get my head around. Like, why did they add a new two ways to open a notification? Like, I feel like, look, okay, we do this. This is what we do. There's got to be something to that I'm not seeing.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think it just goes back to the idea of providing options to people.
Right, but like in the last beta, it was all I couldn't do it. Right, like I couldn't do it at all.
Right.
Now I have two ways to do it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's
Yeah.
It is not just a change in direction. It's like a change in direction, and then they went 17 miles down the road. Like
Yeah.
it's very weird.
Like, there's a precedent for that. Like last year when they revamped Spotlight Search, they didn't just make one way to open Spotlight. They didn't just make two or three. When I was working on the review, I counted all the ways that you could open Spotlight, and I'm pretty sure there were like 10 different ways that you could open Spotlight on iOS 10. So when they think a feature works, they tend to add at least a couple of ways to work with that feature.
No, I get that, but like that's when they added a new feature, right?
I know that it's strange, but I guess it's a combination of muscle memory. Some people are used to swiping left on right on notifications to open them. Other people just want to launch them. I understand why you think it's strange.
But I'm happy I have the choice because I just want to be able to do this. So like they have fixed so many of the problems with Notification Center now.
I think it's getting better, and I'm almost sold on the idea of the notification screen is now the lock screen, but it's not locked. Although I still think it's kind of odd, and I was showing this to my girlfriend last night. I was like, hey, take my phone and open notifications, and I was on home screen. So she swiped down, and the cover sheet opened. So and I was looking at her. It was like an A/B test in real life. And what have I done? Her first question was, is this a screenshot? Because she couldn't figure out why a swipe to open Notification Center would go to the lock screen. And then she asked, did I just lock the phone? So I think this is gonna be common, and this is the problem that I see with this design, that it's not changing. It looks like a replica of the lock screen, but it's not locked. And I wonder if, the Apple's idea of we're just giving people what they want and what they're used to will actually produce the opposite result of people getting confused because now they swipe and they think a phone is locked. And there's folks like me who don't use auto lock. And so when you swipe down, the cover sheet I think it's always going to be open. I haven't tested this yet on beta 4, so maybe they added a fix for that. But basically, the cover sheet respects the setting that you set for auto lock. So if you're like me, you set the auto lock to never, but the cover sheet never locks, which is kind of a problem because it looks like a lock.
Yeah, but that's not a problem though, right? Because you know to lock your phone.
What if I forget?
Yeah, but do you though? Because then your phone will be unlocked anyway, right? Like, I am very confident that you never forget to lock your phone.
But now there's a visual cue that can trick my brain into thinking it's locked while it's not. That's my problem.
Yeah.
Why does it have to look like a locked screen? Like,
I tell you why, Federico, because they need a place to put the clock because the new iPhone doesn't have a clock.
Well, then, if you swipe down, you should see the clock right away.
Well,
right?
no, I agree, but there's
When
just
you
no
swipe
way to
down,
do that.
you see the bottom.
I would say, right, like I have been using iOS 11 on my iPads, and honestly, I've forgotten that this is how it is. Like to me, it's just, well, that's where it all is now. Like I don't even really pay attention to it. It's like that's just where it is. Maybe it's different, like with iPhone and iPad. Like I'm not using iOS 11 on a phone, but like when I scroll down and then, well, do you know what? I honestly, a lot of the time, I don't even see the clock there. Like it's just the notifications, right? Like it's just not a thing in my mind. I'm totally used to it. It isn't a thing that it concerns me, and I think a lot of people probably would just get used to it, and that they might not necessarily think that something is fundamentally broken. But there is, of course, the option where, like, if you are a person like you who does never lock their phone, there are maybe more problems with it. But like, I'll just say, like, my personal usage is like it's just notification center and it has a clock on it now. That's how I look at it.
Here's my problem, and I think I figured out why I don't like it. And there's no functional benefit to making it look like a lock screen, because it works like before. It swipes down and it's a notification list. You can swipe to the side and you see the widgets. There's no functional change, it's just a visual one. And that visual change, I think it's confusing. So like, you can swap the functionality with iOS 10 and it will be the same. It's a notification center, opens on top, you swipe it, you view the widgets. But now it looks like the lock screen, but it doesn't behave like it. And that I still find confusing.
I think it's just a user, like it is a perceived user experience thing. There is these two places that have the same things, right, in iOS 10, but one of them is the lock screen and one of them is not the lock screen, so they just wish to make it one thing now. And,
So
you know,
would you call them the same place then?
effectively, right? They look the same. That's what I'm saying, right? Like it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think that's the point, though, right? Like that. So in iOS 10, you can swipe down and get your notifications, and you can swipe to the other side and you get the widgets. But if you swipe to the other side, you don't get the camera, right? So maybe they're just like, oh, we're just gonna make it. It all kind of looks like it's the same thing, so let's make it look exactly like it's the same thing.
The faster camera access, you're right, is the only benefit I can think of.
I don't think that's much of a benefit, though, honestly. I think the swiping for the camera thing is mostly crap,
But there's people are gonna tell you, well, actually, that option. So
yeah, I get it. And if you use it that way, like, that's great. I mean, like, for me, it's crap. Like, I never, ever remember to swipe. I know it's been there forever. Since they changed it from, like, the swipe up, I have never gotten used to that. I just open my phone and I open the camera. Like,
No, you're crazy.
It's not.
It's so good.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying I don't remember. That's what I'm saying, right? Like, I'm not saying this sucks. I'm like, I just never remember to do it. Since they changed it, it's just never stuck in my head, like the swiping to the side.
Alright.
Because I've always had the camera on my home anyway, so my brain is locked into just like going to the home screen to get my camera. But my point is, I agree with you. I don't want it to be as I wish it would go back. But I think the reason that they're doing it is like they're like, oh, we have these two things that mostly look the same. Let's make them completely look the same. So I assume there's a hope that it will make a more cohesive experience for people, so they'll actually understand where they are in the OS more. But it does bring about a bunch of new issues, and then I guess by iOS 12 we'll know which ones were the more difficult ones.
Well, I'm still not sure, so I think we're gonna.
I don't want it either, right? Like, I'm not sure about it. I said, like, I don't notice it because I kind of don't care. Like, it's like whatever. But maybe when it's on my iPhone, like, then I'm gonna be upset. But like on my iPad, it's like whatever, man. But you know, I just think it's like this one ain't changing. I don't think. I think we've got all the changes we're gonna get to Notification Center now. I feel like
I think we're gonna get some more little changes, but the decision has been made to go back to this design in terms of gestures and swipes. I think we're gonna see more. Not exactly sure of the nature of what else we're gonna get in Beta 5, but maybe some other minor changes we'll still get. But at this point, I would say it's pretty much locked down.
Anything else?
From Beta 4 or notifications?
From Beta 4.
So there's new icons for kind of reminders, which I'll get to in a minute. Notes and contacts. The notes one has some stitching, it seems, on top, and the contacts one has changed like the glyph on the
It's
icon.
not stitching. It's I'm a paper guy. It's perforation.
Sorry. Okay, perforate. It's not stitching.
It's that's when I look at it. It's like that is like the thing where you pull a pad out, right? Got a piece of paper out, it's perforation.
Yeah, alright. And these new icons kind of join the App Store and iTunes as the new icons on the home screen in iOS 11. And I saw a tweet this morning from friend of the show and friend of everyone, really, Stephen Patton Smith. On Twitter, he looked into the code of iOS 11 beta 4 and it seems
Wait,
like...
he looks into the code? No, I don't buy it.
Does he?
Steve Patton Smith looks into the code? No.
It's a little out of character, I'll admit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's more like a mystic session. It's down and
Thinks about the code, and then the code
yeah.
comes to him.
and the code just kind of appears in a floating head of Scott Forstall in the air, which is kind of weird. But anyway, it appears that the new icons are meant, especially the reminders and the contacts one, were the result of some right-to-left code gone wrong. So iOS 10 introduced support for right-to-left languages, and with right-to-left, when the setting is enabled, even the icons are flipped, like the entire UI is flipped horizontally. So like you get the signal and the Wi-Fi on the right of the status bar instead of being on the left. And also some icons on the home screen change. And I think also on iOS 10 already, the reminders icon and the old contacts icon, they change, they're flipped. So I'm not sure if the behavior is the same on iOS 10, but I assume it's going to be on iOS 11. So the reminders icon, which is flipped right now in beta 4, I think it's going to be reverted back to the original one with the colored dots on the left by beta 5, because it's clearly a mistake. It doesn't make sense to put the dots on the right when they're still on the left in the app. More importantly, I guess for me, the workflow extension has been fixed. It didn't work in Safari before. It worked in other apps, but it couldn't be triggered in Safari, so now that's been fixed. You can pull to refresh for updates on the App Store, which again for me it's handy because I disable auto updates, but I still want to be able to quickly check for updates to the apps that I have installed. Now I have a manual way to do so that doesn't require me to tap 10 times or 15 times on the update tab of the App Store, which is nice. That's about it, Mike. These are the major, quote-unquote major changes in Beta 4.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Walden. They make the most comfortable underwear, socks, shirts, undershirts, hoodies, and sweatpants you're ever going to wear. Walden is better than whatever you're wearing right now. They're so confident of this, they have a no questions asked return policy. If you don't like your first pair of Walden clothes or whatever it is that you buy, you can just keep them and they'll refund you, no questions asked. Walden have a line of silver underwear and shirts that are naturally antimicrobial, which is some cool science stuff. This means that they eliminate odor, which can be super useful. By pairing premium fabrics, meticulous attention to detail, coupled with a simple shopping experience, Walden delivers a new level of daily comfort straight to your door. They make undershirts that stay tucked, socks that stay up, and waistbands that don't roll. We mentioned my travel. You know what I'm going to be wearing on my travel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be wearing my amazing Walden sweatpants. I have the Ace sweatpants. I love them dearly. I feel so comfortable in them. I sleep on planes in those things. Like, they are absolutely fantastic. Not only do Walden's underwear, socks, and shirts look good, they perform well too. They're good for working out, going to work, traveling, or for everyday life. Listeners of this show can get 20% off at macweldon.com, that's MACKWELDON.com, by using the code CONNECTED. That is 20% off at macweldon.com with the code CONNECTED. Thank you so much to Walden for their support of this show and Relay FM.
There's something that I wanted to quickly touch upon, which is the idea that I've seen from some people on Twitter and forums of Apple not listening to feedback from folks on the internet and like people who provide feedback to Apple during the beta. Some people think that these messages, this feedback, they affect no change at Apple, and that's totally not how it works. The radar system is in place for one reason, which is to submit feedback and for engineers to gather that feedback and to bring it, to their managers to discuss and to show proof that people are complaining, that people are suggesting different implementations, and to provide feedback from different contexts, like outside of the labs in Cupertino, from folks who are actually using the beta, and if a feature is not working out, let us understand why it's not working out. And there's also the other approach that happens behind the scenes of Apple reaching out to folks privately to ask for feedback. And that is the right approach, to gather responses from Radar, to mark stuff as duplicate and to show that information to a manager, to reach out to people and be like, help us understand what is it that you don't like, because especially in this beta stage, it is extremely important that we listen. And Apple has been doing this time and time again, and I know firsthand this happens, because Apple doesn't create software in a vacuum. Like, they are people that listen to other people, and even if it doesn't look like, we've seen this in the past with the pencil and navigation, now with the cover sheet and notifications. When something isn't working, and if something, especially in an iOS beta, you think it's not working well for a bunch of reasons, you should complain about it on the internet, because it works. And the idea that Apple creates software on a throne of computers running Xcode without listening to others, that's just crazy town. It doesn't work that way. And I thought that was funny because I saw some folks on Twitter yesterday share this idea again. Yes, Apple has its own ideas, they have their own motivations. Sometimes we don't understand them, but the majority of the time, in different ways, they seek out feedback and they implement that feedback. So just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, I think that it's worth remembering that there's a reason that they do the betas. I mean, I reckon this is part of why the public beta's gone in, right? So that they can monitor social media, right? And, I've been doing this myself. Like, I've been running Twitter searches just for, notification, and have been just seeing, these floods of people complaining that their notifications don't work anymore. And, to assume that Apple aren't paying attention to that is mind-boggling to me. The idea that they are a company that knows what we want before we do makes sense. But not when it comes to stuff like this, I don't think. When it's new products and things like that, I can get it a bit more. But when it's, these small changes to their operating system, I believe that they do pay attention, and so I think it is worth talking about it. It's worth us sharing our stories in the ways that we do. It's worth people filing radars, and it's worth people sending feedback through the feedback app, right? These are worthwhile things to do because it helps inform the future of the operating systems that we enjoy to use.
Yep. I think some of that comes from, there are things Apple's not going to change, right? If someone complains that the new multitasking is too confusing, Apple's not going to go back on that. But I think that they most definitely listen to thoughtful feedback, and if it's done en masse, a bunch of people are talking about it, then they're at least going to look at it. You may not always get what you want, but you
sometimes get what you need, right?
That's right. That's a very wise saying, Mike. You should maybe write a song about that. It'd be nice. But they're definitely going to listen if you're reasonable and if you have other people who are feeling the same way. And yes, there are things that are not going to change, and there are things that there may be things that it's part of a longer narrative, and maybe they're not where they want to be yet, and so maybe in the middle ground where right now it's sort of strange and you can't see the rest of it until we're further down the road. There are definitely those things in iOS 11, I think. But overall, if you have feedback, I think you should share it, and you should share it in the feedback app. You should file a radar. If you know someone who could be helpful at Apple, contact them. But the idea that Apple doesn't listen because in one time they didn't change the one thing I asked for, I think is a little short-sighted. So I'm glad we touched on this because I think it's been bugging the three of us for a little while seeing some of this talk.
No, we're all wrong.
Yeah, most definitely.
I gotta say, and this might be another one of those things where there are some times that the three of us, we are in complete agreement on something that sometimes can be confusing to people. That it seems like perceived wisdom is that Apple has done a dumb thing, but we're all just this is amazing. And the thing that I want to talk about today is the Rock and Siri dominate the day.
Yes.
An ad that Apple put together with, I don't really know how to describe how I feel about the Rock, but it is a great love, respect, admiration. Maybe I'm a little attracted to him. I'm not sure what it is.
Whoa.
But I love the Rock.
I can kind of relate to that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Federica.
Yeah.
I love him. Right. Look, I'm a wrestling fan. Right. So the Rock has been a part of my life for most of my life. Right. I've known of the Rock longer than I've known you two. We're not friends. Not us. Me and the Rock.
Wow.
Of course. We're not friends anymore. I'm moving in with the Rock. This ad is so good. It is so good.
dormant feelings that are surfacing.
I'll tell you right now, they ain't dormant, right? Like, my love for The Rock has been a long time though. There was a period of time where I didn't like The Rock, but like this is a wrestling thing now, which you don't need to know about. But
No,
he's
it's
fantastic. Well, okay, so there was a time period in which The Rock had gone away and he'd gone to Hollywood, right? And he'd gone and made a bunch of movies. Then he came back to the WWE and won the WWE Championship purely as a promotional thing, right? So he could just promote the movies that he was working and then they gave it to him. And I didn't think like he deserved it at the time because there were people that were in the WWE that I think needed it more. And he got to headline 2 WrestleManias like year after year, and I just thought, well, this doesn't make any sense because why is The Rock here? But then by the end of that period of time, he won me back over again. So that's the reason. You wanted it, you got it.
No, I'm glad because now I know. I appreciate that. I agree with you. It's a pretty awesome ad, and I was definitely one to make fun of it. I had a tweet that I'm very proud of. I'm making a Siri joke about The Rock, but it's super well produced. Even though I have space complaints we're gonna get to, but it's fun and it's like on brand for him and for Siri. Like it kind of works for what he does, right? Like it's totally like in his wheelhouse for like how he presents himself in the media he does.
Yeah, I feel like maybe Apple like hired his company to produce this because
he had a tweet that said that, I think,
and that
thanks
surprise
to
me.
Apple and his company.
It's $7, I think, is the name of his company. Because that's the company that produces all the stuff that he does. Because it is so on brand for The Rock, right? Like, I don't know if somebody other than him and the people that write for him could put this together in the way that they did. Like, it was perfect for him, right? Even down to the idea that, like, somebody dared to challenge that he was too busy. So he was like, screw this. I'm going to go out, and the idea of the conceit of the ad is I'm going to go and achieve all of my life goals before I have to go to set today.
Yeah, today, like this morning.
And there are like just a bunch of little things in it, like the wallpaper on his phone is that 90s fanny pack photo of him, which I'm sure people are aware of, but I'm going to put in the show notes, and that's going to literally be the image in the show notes today, just so everyone can appreciate how The Rock has changed. Did you see the thing that he did with SNL where he recreated it?
Yeah.
That was pretty great. That was pretty great.
No, I didn't see that.
I'll put a link to that in the show notes.
All right, thank you.
Because he recreated the picture and it's kind of wonderful. I just thought this was hilarious and actually I think did a good job of showing off Siri. Like, in a way, I was expecting Siri to come out of this looking a bit stupid, right? Like I thought it was gonna, like Siri was gonna be like talking to him.
Yes.
Or
like a fake Siri.
Yeah, like it wasn't gonna work properly.
It was more about The Rock than Siri, really. I think it was clever because it's showing how Siri can help you, like as a busy person in your everyday life. Instead of making it more about Siri the character, it's really about Siri the software and The Rock as a very busy individual with a bunch of projects. And I think that was a very clever idea to base the commercial on.
Yeah, I think so too. And I mean, for me, it was like one of the better ads that Apple put together in a long time because it did a good job of showing off the product, which they don't always do. Sometimes the ads are a little bit more conceptual, but then it also had a character to it and used a celebrity in a really good way, right? As opposed to like just having the celebrity there. Like they used The Rock the way The Rock should be used. I thought it was fantastic. Like I thought it was hilarious. I've watched it twice, and I thought it was great.
It felt in line with remember the Cookie Monster one? The shirts as well, where Cookie Monster is being Cookie Monster, but Siri's there like assisting, and I think it's more so than some of the older ones they've done with celebrities. But I agree with you. It's fun. It is. I mean, even though I know it's a 3-minute ad, it feels like a little movie, and that's how so Sunday night he tweeted that hey, I did a movie with Apple, and like 3 of us were like, well, why isn't it on YouTube? Why isn't it on Apple Music? But then it became clear throughout the course of the evening that it was going to be an ad, but it feels big, right? There's lots of scenes, sees lots of different places, and I think it's good. There is a couple of things I think worth pointing out. In the description of the video, they link to Siri.com, which if you go to it actually redirects to a page on Apple's website it has a lot of the commands that he is giving Siri in the video. It kind of walks you through what Siri can do. But MKBHD put out a video last night where he walks through all the commands that The Rock gives Siri, and it performs pretty well. I have to say, and I generally like MKBHD, but his lack of day-to-day use of the iPhone shows up in this video, where he clearly doesn't have any content on the phone he's working on, so a bunch of the stuff doesn't work.
Yep.
I saw someone on Twitter, several people on Twitter, including Kyle's the Gray, talking to him about, well, like in the scene where he's asked the phone to show him all of his fashion accessories. You can do that on the phone if you have an album in iCloud Photo Library, and you call that name up.
Okay.
MKBHD missed that and sort of actually dinged Siri for that, even though that's nitpicky. But if you're doing a movie picking apart an ad, you're already being nitpicky, so I feel like it's fair to do that to him. But all in all, the stuff that is in the ad, Siri can do all of that stuff. Now, it's all shortened and, sped up because Siri takes longer than it does in the video, but it can do all those things. And so, from a reality perspective of what Siri actually is and what it offers, they got it all right. Which you would hope, right? Hopefully Apple's not advertising something that they can't do, but they did a really good job, I think, with that.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say is, it's not, remember the ad that for the video that they did for WWDC, right? Absolutely from the phone in a way that doesn't happen, right? So it's I was kind of expecting that there might be something like that, but yeah, luckily they didn't do that, which was good. I was concerned it was I don't know, Siri was going to be able to transform the phone into a robot, right? That helped him save.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was just I was oh god, where are they going to go with this?
And it helps root the ad, right? The Rock is doing all these things that clearly a person can't do, but Siri roots it in reality. I think that's one reason the ad is so good.
The Rock would make for an excellent guest at WWDC at the keynote, especially because he is so lovingly intimidating. So I don't think developers would complain about The Rock because he's The Rock. So yeah, would be much better than Drake. Get The Rock on stage, talk about APIs, talk about frameworks. It's The Rock, you cannot mess with The Rock. No, let The Rock talk about the frameworks. That would be amazing. Also, do you think The Rock will adopt me if I made an official request?
Probably.
I would be upset, but
I would be fine. I would be fine also as an older brother. That would work.
if he was your older brother.
Yeah.
Just super quick, right? Just while we're talking about The Rock, you've all seen the Rock 2020 thing, right?
Yes.
There is a
He's going to make a great president.
There's a company that's been set up to explore the possibility of Dwayne Johnson becoming the next president of the United States. I'm not for serious. He could do it, right? If a celebrity's gonna do it.
At this point, anyone can do it.
Literally anyone would be better. Yeah. Although he does steal a plane in this ad, we have to talk about that. He hijacks a plane to go visit Federico. Maybe he's coming to adopt you, Federico. Maybe that's why he's flying to Rome.
Yeah, he does go to Rome, man.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That would be amazing, honestly.
I did chuckle a plane fuel to go to Ohio. It's not gonna make it to Rome. But can I talk about the space thing? Because
yeah, okay.
Jason correctly predicted an upgrade yesterday that I would talk about this, and I'd already had these notes in my head. The phone would be broken, just broken as fill in the blank, and
what do you mean?
Vacuum of space.
Would it explode? What happens?
It would die. It's a phone dies if you leave it in your car overnight when it's too cold outside and it can't work. Space is way colder. Two, and I'm skimming the video because I saw a screenshot. I wasn't sure it was true, but the scene is really funny. So he's tethered to this space station or something, or to a spaceship, and he's taking a selfie. He's wearing AirPods, which I missed the first time I watched it.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
So I guess that's how. So my initial complaint was sound doesn't carry in space. And
are you sure? Are you sure it's cold? Because the sun is in space.
Yeah, and the sun's super hot. You've never been in space.
So I think you're wrong.
Yeah.
You can know because the sun is up there.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's hot here. Imagine near the sun. It must be super hot.
Yeah, I bet it's way hotter than it is here. That makes so much sense, Federico. You should replace Stephen on the space show.
I should have a space show.
Yeah.
I'm firing my official motion at the relay board to fire Steven from the space show and replace Steven with me.
Do you even know the name of my space show, Federico? No, don't even know the name. He's wearing AirPods, which I also found really funny because sound doesn't travel in space, but he's using Bluetooth, so it totally works. and the line as the scene cuts away is, I hope I don't create an eclipse, which I find really funny. Like it's I mean, I'm only talking about it because I have a space podcast, but it's just a really funny scene to me, even though the film would totally die.
The space podcast is called Liftoff, and it's great. It's with Jason Snow. And
We do own liftoff.space.
Oh, nice.
Something liftoffpodcast.space. I don't know.
And you also
Anyways.
have an amazing artwork and logo for the show. Yeah.
Liftoffpodcast.space is the podcast Tumblr because we blog on Tumblr. So anyways, I think we're all in agreement. This is a lot of fun. It's really awesome, and like thumbs up from the Connected crew, right? We're in agreement?
Yes.
oh, without doubt.
There we go. I did not expect it to go this way, guys. I thought the two of you would like it, and I would hate it, but I'm totally on board with it. It's a lot of fun.
That's strange to hear from you, but I'm glad you enjoyed something that we also like.
It does seem impossible some days.
Alright, today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at FreshBooks. To all you freelancers out there, imagine if you could claim up to 192 hours of your time a year. Would you do that? Well, if you would like to and you're not using FreshBooks, the easy way to save this time is just to sign up for FreshBooks. FreshBooks can give you this time back because it's so easy to use. They simplify tasks like invoicing, tracking expenses, getting paid. FreshBooks has drastically reduced the time it takes for their over 10 million customers to deal with their paperwork. I sent invoice 1,100 today with FreshBooks.
Woo!
I love FreshBooks.
Who sent invoice 1,000?
I love FreshBooks. They're great. We use it all the time. We've used it since before they were a sponsor. We used it before our company even existed. Like, FreshBooks is the way for you to get your billing, your invoicing, your expense tracking done. I cannot recommend it enough. When you email an invoice with FreshBooks, it will show you whether they've seen it, so you don't have to play guessing games. One of my favorite things is I can go into one of our